I'm here to present something new and exciting, I hope, for everyone, titled State of the District, or Situate Public Schools, State of the District. This is a collaborative process from all of the stakeholders, specifically leadership from all our schools and our leadership teams and our central office teams. So it had a lot of people obviously contribute, our teachers and employees in the workforce. So this is a central office, kind of a mid-year view of what's happening in our district, to celebrate those things that are happening, to highlight some of the things that we pride ourselves on, which is transparency and equity. Also to highlight the two pillars and our work that is highly focused on those, establishing a culture of collaboration with all our stakeholders, and also focusing on academic and personal excellence. A lot of times we spend in the meetings talking about COVID. I'm going to put that aside tonight and just understand that we can do both, that all of this that I'm going to share tonight is being accomplished. And I think the theme of tonight, as we've seen, is to return to normal and what things look like. So we'll share this out tonight, and then afterwards, if you have any questions, I've asked all the leadership team to be present. So if there's someone that can answer it more specifically than me, I'll defer some of those questions if necessary at the time, and hope you enjoy it. I also will say that you'll notice this is a district perspective, and what we'd like to do, again, as a new tradition, is follow up with school-based state of the schools in subsequent meetings, where our principals will do something similar, and it'll be more focused in line with our goals and pillars, but also more school specific. So some of these things you'll see today will have a through line in those presentations. You'll see some similarities, but you'll see some more specifics at the school level. All right, the opening document here just talks a little bit about our relentless pursuit of becoming the best district in the world. We kind of identify that as perfection, something you never reach, but you always strive for and always kind of work towards being better. I believe personally you get better every day, or worse. You never quite stay the same, and that's all conscious decisions. So we're always working on moving forward with what we do, and I think we've had a lot of good success with that. The home away from home feel, it's really working out. We really believe in that, and we want to be accountable for that, that we want to make our school district a place where people want to be and feel comfortable and safe and excited to learn. So again, a work in progress and something we spend a lot of time on. Another word that jumps out in the opening phrase here is communication. Again, we pride ourselves, and I'll have a slide on that tonight, talking about the different ways that we've attempted to communicate and how we believe in the transparency with our community. And finally, just a foundation. A lot of this, you'll see some foundational opportunities that we've started and are in progress. And I'll end slides tonight with a little flavor of what we're looking forward to finishing up the second half of the year and beyond, as we move our district from good to great. So the whole child is obviously something we are very committed to, in removing the barriers for academic growth and achievement for all students. And these are cultures. These are not built overnight. These take time and nurturing, and that's something that you'll see tonight. These are systems and programs that we're implementing. Ultimately, it's about the people that are doing the work. And so I think we've got some great people here, and we continue to build strong teams. So you've got collaboration, personalization, and personal excellence are the three tenets of our two pillars. You notice how I put we have symbols here over those. You'll notice those symbols we put anytime that that specific pillar is mentioned or connected. So if there's something to do with collaboration, it'll have that arrow type of insignia. If it's personalization, it will have the heart, and then personal excellence will have the arrow there. That will include academic and personal excellence. Sometimes they have two, sometimes they have all three. So a lot of these things that we're doing kind of interconnected between the three. Those symbols help us understand that through this presentation. So here are some highlights that I've kind of put the topics into. So we'll talk about professional development, extremely important to having a high achieving staff and reflective of high level of student learning and engagement in our classrooms. There's a direct correlation there, we believe. Curriculum acceleration, we've spent a lot of time on our curriculum this year and our systems in implementation of and commitment to curriculum. We'll talk about that. Sustainable systems. So in a district, there's a lot of systems that we have to look at and that we've assessed, and our team is fairly new, within 2 years old, younger than 2 years old, but we've made a lot of commitment and time to address systems and to be more efficient, to be more productive. So you'll see some of that tonight. As we approach budget season, finance is hugely important. I believe it's a reflection of your values. So you'll see what we've committed to in our finance section, and also human resources. Spoken about the importance of the people that are in front of our students, and those that work in our schools. And then finally ending with some future big ticket items that we're looking at as we approach the second half of the school year and beyond. So first, I'm going to start with professional development. Again, tonight there'll be highlights. There's a lot more going on, and we're always willing to speak with folks about details of any of these topics that we bring up tonight. The first one is 3 hours of asynchronous. Asynchronous is a type of learning that can happen anywhere. It's not in the four walls of a classroom. An example of that might be online virtual classes, or hybrid type of classes that we've all kind of experienced. And our teachers this year had to complete 3 hours of asynchronous professional development. And it was really great that our PD committee involved of a wide, diverse group of educators got together and worked with different groups to come up with something that teachers could access in a variety of options. I think that's really important, to have a menu. A lot of what you see in professional development in school districts is top down, one size fits all. We're very proud of the fact that we've moved away from that, and we've provided a menu of options. I'll share with you in the upcoming slide about how we get feedback to know what our teachers need and want, as well as to align it to what our goals are for the district. So we'll talk about that. The SCI endorsement is important because this is one of our goals for teacher excellence. This is a course that helps when you work with our students of the English language learners. It's mandated by the state. If you have an English language learner in your classroom, we're trying to raise the bar where all teachers get it no matter what. And we're doing that through our contact with our Bridgewater State University. I'll mention those partnerships later. You saw MPY, Mass Partnership for Youth, in the previous column. These will be mentioned later too, but these are our partners making these things happen at a big scale for our staff. I'm proud to report that this class was filled with our staff volunteering to do it. We've got an extremely discounted rate that saved the district money because of our partnership with BSU, and we were able to have a sole class dedicated to our district. So a lot of great work happening there. And then how does this all happen? We have a PD committee. You'll see through some of these things, you'll see teams and committees. These are some of the things that are organizationally that we've adjusted, but also it's collaborative, where we've included a number of people so that things are done in kind of looked at and assessed through a group of different people. And each committee has different leaders of that committee. So it's not central office making all the decisions. It's a group of educators that are buying in, invested into leading these types of committees to come up with ideas like the 3 hours asynchronous and the SCI endorsement. So that PD committee, these ideas are funneled through that group. Those group kind of look at these things and come up with these ideas and work with our partners to make these menus possible, and these things that were never possible in our district are now possible for our teachers. So again, a lot of the things I'll be sharing tonight are new to the district, including these three. So here's an example. A lot of what we talk about is in collaboration is in voice. And this is an example of educator voice in their professional learning. And if you start at the top and work your way down the funnel, After every professional learning experience, again, this is also transparency. We give a survey to our staff that took the professional learning or professional development, and they grade it. We do a letter grade, and then we do a bunch of other feedback anonymously. And so it's broken down by which professional learning practice they went to, what school they're at. So we can look at that next with the PD committee. So that funnels down to them. They have all the feedback and say, okay, you know, how did that last experience go for our staff? How did they feel it went? And that gives us an opportunity to reflect on what professional opportunities we're providing our staff. If they were successful, why? If they were good, how can they improve? And if they were not so good, why? And how can we learn from that to make sure that doesn't happen again? And so this allows us to continually communicate and improve and collaborate. Also gives educators a voice because we also share that feedback. The principals do at their faculty meetings with the staff. So the staff all know, it's no secret. Okay, this one was really great. This one was kind of a flop, or this one was in the middle. So again, it's back to that transparency. It's with our community, it's with our teachers. It's the only way we believe you get better is by having honest conversations. So now the PD committee kind of assesses that feedback and looks for trends, and then sends it off to our central office leadership team, then can make ideas on future changes or implementations in professional development plans. And then the district leadership team, which is a larger group of our leadership, then takes that feedback and comes up with recommendations to the PD committee for our next PD based on all that data. So, and then it starts all over again. So again, this didn't happen until this year. You know, Ms. Driscoll and the department chairs and principals have been working hard on this. So kudos to them. It's really working well. And the teachers, from what we see in our feedback, really feel appreciative that they are being heard. And we're appreciative that they're being honest with us and that our professional learning opportunities have been enhanced dramatically by doing so. So curriculum acceleration, and I like how we call it curriculum acceleration. How do we make our curriculum strong and aligned with the state standards, but also meeting the students where they're at and challenge them in rigorous is a word I know we hear a lot, but we really want it to be a strong, viable curriculum. So here's some documentation that we need to clean up and fix that we've identified. And the hard work of again, here's another committee. And it's not a big committee, it's a smaller committee, but it's representative committee, and it's different people, different leaders in the district, again, and empowered to make decisions. These committees were voluntary, so people could pick which committee they would be on. And so they're passionate about these things. So that we found is very good. So some of the things on the plate of the Curriculum Acceleration Committee is working with our department chairs, make sure our documentation is all in one location. You know, I know that was a big concern from the community members, families, school community members, when I was interviewed through last year and into this year. And in fairness to everybody, we have the curriculum, it just seems to be all in different places. And what we're trying to do here is put it under one location, easily accessible, vetted, and then shared, so that there's there's no question about what we're teaching, how it's connected to the standards, and accessibility to everybody. So that's in process, and in February, and then the next bullet, we're moving towards looking at the units and digging deeper into that. So that's a time-consuming process, but a very important one, and something we committed to last year as we focus on our curriculum work this year. And then a pretty exciting opportunity for us is looking into a new ELA and reading program for the elementary schools. And we're a big believer in piloting things. You know, programs are great. They do a lot of things. They calibrate, they look for consistency. Finding the best one for us is important. But ultimately the people have to implement those programs. So it's important that we do a pilot and that we hear from our teachers. I'll get into a little more detail about how we're going to roll this out this year. But again, really excited to have that. I will say, I don't think there's been a reading program at the elementary level in 5, maybe 10 years here. Nobody seems to remember when the last one was. That's a real problem. So something we are addressing right away. Also, this complements our foundations, which we started recently. It complements that at the K-2 level. So we're really looking, as we know, literacy is extremely important to our elementary kiddos, combined with the COVID drawbacks that we've seen. And so this is vitally important to us and something we're working on right now. So calibration, how do we calibrate? A big commitment to us is consistency. If your child's in a 4th grade at Hatherley, and someone else has a child in the 4th grade at Cushing, they should be receiving the same education. Different teachers, different styles, certainly, they should be getting the same education. And that doesn't always happen. It's extremely hard to do. And this is what we mean by calibration. How do we do this so that each child is getting the same high-level education, and that our teachers are getting trained and prepared and have the supplies they need and supports they need to carry that out. So again, that's the calibration piece we're working on. The district committed to Eureka Math recently and Foundations Phonics. So these are resources we have in use that are commonly used across all elementaries. We're continuing to get feedback in working to improve those as we grow in use of those and continue our professional learning and development with those. And then our curriculum acceleration committee, I thought was a really strong point. Wanted to get together and have consistent focus. So what are we looking for in a great lesson and a great curriculum? And these are some things they come up with. So when we roll these out, one thing you need to do is have a foundation on what you expect to be taught in the classrooms. And these are some ideas. Are they state or college board standards? Are they connected to the standards? Are there essential questions? Academic language and skills, sample assessment evidence, and required and optional resources, including text. So we want to make sure that in that 4th grade example, that the same text is being used from school to school in the same grades as well. All the 4th grade teachers should be using the same text and resources. So that consistency is really important to us. So that's some of the calibration that's happening, and will certainly happen as we document more of the curriculum on the other side of the column here. So here's some really exciting things happening at the high school. I want to, celebrate the work that Dr. McGuire, Mr. Louette, Ms. Hughes, and department chairs and staff have been doing, and of course the kids, just for really stepping up and making these things happen. So just some data that we've come up with from last year to this year, and we'll continue to collect more and more as we move on with this. But our commitment was, when I shared a while back about what academic excellence and define that, we wanted to have more challenging courses, and we wanted to remove some barriers for kids to be able to do that. And that ties in with equity as well. We wanted kids to be able to take high-level courses. We wanted to add more high-level courses for opportunities. And we're doing both, I think, right now successfully. And so some examples here is we didn't even put in this right now, but our enrollment was down this year, and our numbers are still up for the number of kids taking AP from 256 last year to 299 this year. And we're looking to continue to increase that. It's a good number. Something else that's happening at the high school is the AP kickoff. Looking to celebrate high achievement and kids challenging themselves to take AP courses. So there'll be a parents' evening on March 1st, I believe. And on March 4th, there'll be students, a section that they sign up for those classes to introduction and celebration, of being part of something, at a high level. So those are some fun things that we should celebrate these things. So looking forward to that, and I'm sure Dr. McGuire will give some feedback in her newsletter and possibly come on to these types of meetings to give feedback on how the kickoff goes. And again, hard work by our team at high school to acquire an expansion grant through AP STEM. 21 students were able to take AP Computer Science Principles and AP Environmental Science. I think I heard one or both of these courses mentioned by our students in the report today. So that's paying off. The good news is we just got our program of studies approved, as you recall, recently, and true to our commitment, the high school is offering more advanced level courses, including 3 new AP courses, these two here, computer science, principles, environmental science, and human geography. So those will be happening. On the right side here, we talk about some secondary pathways and increased applications for early college and early decision. So a big jump there from students applying to colleges, and again, with less kids in the buildings, jumped up to 84% this year. And total applications also jumped considerably from 2330 to 2972, which is good information and a trend we hope to continue. And then a really exciting thing that's underway here that I wanted to kind of share a small graphic with you tonight about, and then I'm sure Dr. McGuire will be sharing a lot more detail on this when she does her address, state of the high school. But this is something I know the high school team has been working on. This is an opportunity for us to link post-secondary college and careers to our coursework, and opportunities, including things like internships and capstone projects, something new and exciting. So these things, kids could sign up for these. It's not mandatory. Kids could sign up for a track. If I'm really interested in business and I want to go to Bentley and study business, well, you know, studying 9th grade, I could start taking courses in the academic business track. At graduation, you get a seal for that. It's on your transcript, which is helps in the very competitive college marketplace. So if you're interested in global studies, that will include maybe something similar to the trip we saw tonight. It would be include taking courses in that world language, most likely, and things like that. So health and human service, environmental stewardship, and engineering. So it's a huge catch-all. Again, the plan, without going into too much more detail, and they're working on this and visiting schools and making sure this is done well, is to pilot this next year with some students, work things out, and then make it official in the following year, 23, of the fall of 23. So some cool things happening with the secondary level. Now we get into sustainable systems. The evaluation cycle obviously is very important to us, giving feedback to our staff. And this year we're excited to bring on board a new evaluation tool called Evaluation Plus. Some of this technology has allowed us actually to make life easier in how we document evaluations, how teachers implement or import their goals, as administrators as well. It's a warehouse where we have access in user-friendly terms to the goal setting process and the evaluation process. So, you know, just a simple change in software, proper training for our staff, using our staff and department chairs to conduct the training in our principals was hugely helpful. So I want to thank them for that. Again, the collaboration where we're involving everybody is hugely helpful and it empowers people to stay involved, and they want to be part of something really special. So I think that's helped the evaluation cycle. It's a system with a central location that we all understand. In the last couple of years, we've had, again, we had an old system that wasn't very user-friendly, and last year we had to use, you know, Google Docs and some other things, which were fine, but they weren't this. So switching to this has made life a lot easier. What I didn't put on here is just celebrating another team that we have, another committee. It's the evaluation team. There's department chairs on there, administrators, and we did they work closely together this year to take like a 30-page evaluation DESI document, which is kind of marred in red tape and kind of counterproductive in a lot of ways to the evaluation process, not very user-friendly to giving feedback, managing goals, aligning goals to the district goals. So that group kind of revised that and collaboratively worked on that. It passed muster with our staff, our administrators, myself, and that teamwork has been very good in allowing us to use a evaluation system that's very productive. So that's the evaluation piece and feedback. in goal setting and achievement of goals is all very important, and that all falls on the evaluation cycle. As far as the curriculum revision, we've talked about the new reading in ELA program. So basically what happens here is that a group of leaders in our district have been looking at DESE vetted programs. So we make sure that they're research based and have been proven to be successful. And then we're going to try to implement or test out 3 of them through that pilot. So that'll be done this year soon with our elementary teachers. They'll be piloting this. Them, along with our literacy specialists, special education teachers, and principals, will offer us feedback on each of the programs. And then we're going to invite the students and families to offer feedback and share the programs with them. So I think that's a real smart way before purchasing a program, jumping into it. We want the people who have boots in the ground to give us the feedback. This isn't a top-down central office purchase. This has been vetted. The pilot curriculums have all been vetted. They're DESE approved. So we're really excited about that. And then we're going to compare and contrast by the end of the year, get feedback from those constituents, and then make a decision in an investment in a new reading program that's sorely needed here and has been lacked for several years. So again, that's a really exciting news, and I wanted to share the process with you all to give you solace that it's being done properly. If you have any questions on that, you can certainly call me or Ms. Driscoll. And then the next one is the technology audit. As the more and more we use technology, the more important it is that we understand what we have in our district, what our limitations are, and that it's safe. We've had incidents in the past where there's been use of technology for not educational and learning experiences, and we wanted to make sure that the families and students and staff know that they're safe using the technology. So one major commitment is a one-to-one rollout. And what that means is that we'd like every student in our district to have a school-issued Chromebook. And by doing so, it levels the playing field. Quite honestly, it's inequitable. We talk about equity all the time. By bring your own, we have some students with really high-end computers and some that don't have them at all that we have to loan to. So this equals a playing field. It gives them a very, there's no cost to it, so it saves families a lot of money. It allows us to use district computers and collect them before the students leave. And so it's obviously, if anyone's researched this, it's a sustainable program. We'll be sharing that actually with the school committee. Mr. Long, our tech director, will be sharing the details of that with our school committee and then with our community, I think in the March meeting. So people have more information on how we're rolling that out and what our plan is, what our 5-year replacement plan is, and all of that. So the details to follow, but I want to get back to the technology audit. We had an outside, highly regarded group come in and just audit our technology, soup to nuts. Our systems, our processes, our equipment, and they gave us a very comprehensive list of priorities to address. And so we're chipping away at those now. So it was well worth the time and effort to do that. We also found some things, for example, even your Wi-Fi. If some stranger comes into the building, can they just log onto your Wi-Fi without a password, things like that. So those are safety things to us, or can someone who has access to secure files, things like that. So our tech team does a wonderful job. This was just one more layer for them to identify areas from an outside set of eyes to look at things we wanted to make sure that everyone's safe, secure, and we were running our technology program efficiently. What falls into that also is our website redesign. We're very excited about this. Our website has been improving for the last couple of years, but our contract runs up with this design company, and quite honestly, I think we could do better to get one that's more user-friendly and one that has what folks need and want at a touch of a finger. So we want to make that the hub of our district. Again, we're moving that way now, but we've got a committee right now working together to look at what platforms we want to use to make our website high-powered, user-friendly, and one of the best in the state. So that committee is working. The anticipated goal is to roll that out next fall. We'll be working through the spring and into the summer with outside support on that to have a new website for next year. So again, some exciting things happening in technology. Next is obviously something very important to us, especially during a pandemic. But it goes back to that whole child, and that the academic and personal excellence is extremely important. In that personal excellence is we want to make sure that our students are healthy emotionally, and our staff. So we've really committed. This is something the peer relationship with the partnerships in education and resilience has been in the district. Kudos to Mr. Ranieri, who's kind of a one-man show. Really, he presents every year on it. There's a lot of good work with that. What we decided this year is we wanted to get him some help and spread the work. That's systemically our idea, that one person doing all that work wasn't the most efficient or best way to get that information out to folks, but also to make sure it's finding its way into our classrooms to support our kids. And so we expanded what was called the holistic student assessment to 4th grade. Past it had been 5 through 10, so we've brought it down to the 4th grade this year. It was taken recently. We're currently, and what that is, it's a student self-report that helps us understand where the student's coming from on a set of topics that include active engagement, assertiveness, a sense of belonging, and reflection. So a lot of great data is collected from that. What each school now has done is created their own social emotional development team. And we have also a district SED team where each member of that school-based team is now a member of the central district team. And so that all the information is shared so that not one school is doing it differently than others. People are sharing the same type of data. They're using the peer assessment and they're sharing ideas. They're also, the principals have done a really good job to committing to their teams to look at the data. What are the kids saying? What are our deficiencies and strengths, areas of growth? And then going back and using time during faculty meetings to have the staff give access to the staff of that information. And then the staff work collaboratively together to come up with solutions to identify trends where we need to be more supportive of our students. And then these all go down to the individual basis too. These identifying individual students that may need specific supports, getting the counselors involved, parents, obviously, any types of meetings, we can use this data. So a real commitment, a real change, even from last year, on how much we're using this data and how many people are involved in it and how coordinated it is. So we're really proud of it. And again, that's ongoing right now. So we have that information. It's been very helpful. So I want to thank all those involved in that work. So that's, you know, some districts may say, okay, we're going to hire more counselors. And, you know, we don't believe that's the answer. We believe that all hands on deck approach to the well-being of our kids and to each other as adults is the best way to do it. So now, as you can see through this process and developing teams and coordinating those teams' connections with a centrally located district team, all our ideas will be consistent and widespread. Next, we have our LIT teams, Love, Inclusion, and Trust. I know Mr. Adams has done a great deal of work, but again, he's spreading the wealth here. And I'll use a phrase of his that I love. It's we, not me. So it's not just Mr. Adams. It's branched out to our Love and Inclusion and Trust teams. These are at each school, similar to our social emotional development teams. You know, love is contagious. It's good. Inclusion is good. Trust is good. So those are the things that you know, these teams look at. Again, there's students involved. There's teachers on these teams, and then there's a district team that kind of calibrates the information from the schools to look at some things that we can do to look at our pledge. And I'll give you an example that I thought was pretty cool that all the LIT teams come up with through the district team was looking at our food services and coming up with different cuisines that are reflective of the students in our schools and their heritage and backgrounds. Dave Stevens and his team doing great work with our lit teams to make that happen. So your kids will likely be coming home saying, oh, I tried something new today, different country, or, so really cool stuff. And that's just one simple example of people working together and ideas coming from the ground up, and to including everybody and having fun doing so. So we'll keep you updated on those. I'm sure at Mr. Adams' next report out, he'll even have some more highlights there. So the next topic is community outreach. We're really working hard to communicate with our community, to get feedback, to listen, to learn, and to improve. Seaside Chats has been something that I've started this year. The first one was on the MSBA project, and I learned a lot from our community members. We had parents there, we had teachers there, we had community members there, and it was a good mix of stakeholders to come in and talk about that. The next one's coming up, and that'll be more of an open forum just to kind of listen and learn as I get to know folks in the district. These were purposely done to be in person. And I know, from some feedback I've gotten is that, these meetings are remote and we can get more people at remote. I understand that. I think future meetings may go that way. But I've also gotten a lot of feedback that, I haven't met a lot of people in person. And I think it's important that I do that. So this is that one opportunity for now to do that on a Seaside Chat. And the next one is expanded CPAC. And this is pretty amazing. This is our Special Education Parent Advisory Council that Dr. Bobert oversees. And I remember her coming to me last year when she started and saying, we've got one really dedicated, committed person that comes to these meetings. She's the chair, and that's me and her. So, this is hugely important to our special education program is parental involvement. So by law, we have to have this, but we want it to be awesome. We want parents to be there. We want to hear your ideas. We want to share what we're doing, and we want to collaborate. And Dr. Bobert has made this, a real commitment of hers, and it's really been successful. The last meeting had last year, obviously during COVID, it was tough. We upped the numbers from one person over several years to 8, and this year she got 23 people at the last meeting. She's got actually co-chairs, a marketing person, and a secretary. In fact, they did a training for the group on dyslexia last meeting, with 23 parents showing up. So kudos, Dr. Bobert, and to our parents for committing to that. And it's open to everybody. Welcome, join us. But that's really a success that's happening right now with our community outreach and our collaboration. I know our new AD, Mr. Payne, has done a lot of work with our Captain's Council and athletics to teach leaders how to lead. Sometimes we just assume kids know what they're doing. I know our coaches do some work with that. I know this is a commitment by Mr. Payne, who has a wealth of knowledge in leadership in athletics and in leadership. So working with our captains to reinforce that is hugely important, and a job well done. You notice this year we moved from open houses to expectation nights. You might have noticed also that we shared, state expectations or aligned with DESE on the standards or expectations for each grade level. Something new for our staff. I want to commend them for doing that. It was a leap of faith for them. But again, it's us being consistent, us aligning to high expectations. And we want that night to mean something for the parents. We also got a lot of good feedback from the parents and the kids on how those nights went and what was shared. And we're looking to continue to even improve those. But the goal of that is that we want to share what our expectations of our students are and of us. We also want to share from the families and parents and students what your expectations of us are. First Stop PD, again, this could have been under the PD for our staff. This is run by Jamil Adams, and it's opportunities for our staff voluntarily to go after school and learn a variety of strategies. The first one, I believe, was on having difficult conversations. The turnouts have been great. Again, Jamil or Mr. Adams uses the feedback formula that we use for all PD, and we've gotten really positive feedback for that. I know I shared some with the committee. And again, and just to thank Mr. Adams for the great work, but also to our staff that, after a hard day's work, go commit to a voluntary PD to get better on top of the other PD we offer. Shows us that you're committed. It also shows us that we're listening to what you want to learn and continue to learn. So having optional PD on top of mandated PD is something we're doing here, and what's something that great districts do. So that's something I wanted to share. BOY stands for beginning of year welcome calls. Again, that two-way communication we're working on, reaching out proactively to all families to let you know we care about your child. We're here for you and your family, and we're home. We're a home away from home here. I know some schools are actually continuing that throughout the year. And our goal is next year is to do that, and then kind of every year make that a year-long thing. I know Gates is doing postcards right now, and almost 100% of parents have been outreached. So great things, and that's all contagious. The feedback we get from that has been tremendous. It's appreciated by parents. It's appreciated by our teachers. So thank you for the hard work and from our administrators and staff for doing that, making that commitment, because it's working. The Thursday Thoughts, it's our commitment. We decided to go to an every other week, try to have more information for you. We hope you enjoy that. We've included links. We will look at the data. We look at the pages that are visited. We look how long people stay on there. So that data helps us and informs our decisions to have themes. We've moved to themes each Thursday Thoughts. So you've probably noticed that. So the next one coming up is on the budget, for example. So I want to thank Emily Matthews and Kim Peters are kind of our editors, and they do a really lot of work in making sure that information that the community gets is accurate. It's based on a theme that we want to commit to, and it aligns to our goals and pillars. So that's all very purposeful. And it's based on feedback that we get from the amount of people that view that, what they view, and how long they view it for. And so feedback is good there. Principals are also committing to newsletters. Those are wonderful. They're, parents want to see what's happening at the district, but they're also very and more concerned about what's happening in their child's school. So we're committed to principals' newsletters, which again, feedback is great for that. We're looking at that. The last couple of things have come out of the lit teams, the lit line. Little plug here for our lit line. If you want to copy that number down, it's just a message of love, inclusion, and or trust. Sometimes there's guest speakers on there. If you're interested, contact Mr. Adams, and certainly sure you could be a volunteer on there. But that's when you're having a good or tough day, I'll call that, and it just always makes me feel better. So please try it. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and purposeful for us. The Lit podcast, same thing. Different topics, different ideas, trying to involve more people. I know Mr. Adams has guests on there. I know Nesta Scopoletti was on there recently. That was one of my favorite ones. Very exciting, so good stuff. And then next is our partnerships. Again, these are all brand new this year, all great connections. Mass Insight has a lot to do with the AP information I shared with you. They're all about equity and access to rigorous coursework. And in this case, AP. They help open doors to students. They also support students, for example, giving students mock exams. And then they're graded out, and the teachers don't grade them. The outside Mass Insight can grade them and give feedback to our teachers and our students. Each teacher also has a one-to-one content coach from the group that has experience teaching that. So it's always nice to get that coaching and support. So that's also offered as part of this partnership. And so I know Dr. McGuire and her leadership team also has regular meetings with Mass Insight groups who look at our data, look at our enrollment, look at how we're doing things, and guide us and give us direction on that, feedback very specifically to Situate High School. So wonderful relationship there, working out great, as you saw some of the numbers, and we're very, very excited to continue to improve on that. Mass Partnership for Youth, again, new this year. This is a nonprofit group of former administrators, superintendents, counselors. They offer professional development in a variety of ways, typically webinars that teachers can take advantage of. This was mentioned earlier in my presentation, where During that asynchronous learning opportunity, some of our teachers would pick options that Mass Partnerships for Youth supported or offered us. Another example is there was a presentation for our staff on student safety. So if you Google Mass Partnerships for Health, you'll see all the great opportunities and supports they offer school districts, and we're taking full advantage. And the last one here is Bridgewater State University. We have strong ties there. Ms. Driscoll and I are part-time faculty there. So we're also graduates there in our postgraduates. So we were able to secure this. Kudos to Ms. Driscoll for that. We meet monthly with this group, and these are movers and shakers from Bridgewater State. Only a handful of districts in the state have partnerships with Bridgewater. So we're very fortunate to do that. Some of the things that we've done to date is we work with their student teachers, and they told us the other day at our meeting that we have a record number of 4 student teachers. So I want to thank our middle and high school staff that have accepted student teachers into their classrooms. It's a two-way learning experience. We learn from new teachers, and they learn from a veteran teacher. And quite honestly, it's a recruiting process for us too. We get a great student teacher, we want to keep them, we want to hire them. So it's a really good mutual partnership there. I mentioned earlier the SCI endorsement course that Bridgewater State offered us. The other way to do that is each teacher would have to go sign up individually. A lot of red tape, a lot of work. We created a cohort where our teachers could be together, again, at a very discounted price and savings to the district. So another good opportunity there. Right now, we're looking at further coaching and supports from Bridgewater State. Professors or experienced educators that from Bridgewater State. We'd like to see them come work potentially with some of our teachers or administrators. And we'd also like them to offer leadership cohort for our staff hosted by Situate. So for example, any of our teachers or educators that want to get a administrative certification could take courses, and Bridgewater would come and we'd be the host site for that to make it convenient for our teachers and to be able to recruit more of our teachers to have leadership opportunities. So just a few examples, and they offer a bunch of other PD opportunities for our staff for college credit. Okay, now we get into the finance and human resources slide. One of the things I think we're most proud of that we heard loud and clear when we came in as a team is transparency and budgeting. As you'll see this Saturday, we're going to put it all out there for you to see. We're going to answer questions. We're going to get feedback. And then, we go before the select board, we go before school committee, obviously, but this will be posted and available. We'll answer questions. So I really think that's helped us because it earns trust. And I also think it shows folks that we're reliable stewards of their tax-paying money. So we're proud of that. We'll continue to do that. One thing we're proud of, obviously, is the removal of kindergarten fees. That's over a $500,000 savings for our families every year. We've absorbed that responsibly. And when I was hired, I heard that is one of the main areas of concern were all the fees and our buildings. And so that will fall under this as well. We talk a little bit about that. So I said my goal as superintendent, before I leave this great district at some point when I retire, hopefully, is that we get rid of all these fees. As a parent, I've lived this. I'm a big believer in if public education should be free. That means everything. I call them taxes. So we got rid of the kindergarten one. I'll share a little bit when we get to next steps on what we'd like to do for next year. But we're moving towards that very responsibly. HVAC enhancements to the buildings, shout out to Dr. Dutch and his team. Our town partnerships, another partnership that isn't put on paper, but our town, or the town administrator, and I talk regularly. We meet all the time. And I think that's very important to have that relationship, or finance director at town hall. Very strong relationships and good communication, which helps us. So we went for the CARES money. We took advantage of that and brought our, from what I've heard, our school HVAC systems up to the best standards they've been at for years. So that's a smart use of those monies where it doesn't hit your budget. What we also found in the last couple of years is that our buildings in our budget didn't have a maintenance budget line item. So we were always going to the town for capital money or for overrides or things like that, I guess, and we want to avoid that. You know, we're looking to get a new school, a new elementary school. We want to show the community again that, you know, this is the last time for a while, because we're starting maintenance budgets that are proactive and preventative. We're addressing issues in our buildings now, and we're not waiting, like windows, for example, and flooring and roofs and things like that. Between this and capital, we're addressing those things so that we won't need new buildings, and that our students and staff will have buildings they're proud to be in. So that maintenance line item is in there this year, and we look to even increase it for next year because it's working. Capital initiatives, again, there were capital items that were approved in years past that weren't being acted on. Right away, we started working on them, and we're in the process of getting quotes and putting those things, you know, those projects into play right now. And then the ones we really recently approved on, we're also in the works of getting those done. So we'll be happy to share those out. A lot of work will be happening over the summer. We're getting quotes now and works in progress. And there's a lot of great things. I know Dr. Dutch has shared those in the past, but I wanted folks to know that's really big commitment and a kudos to our town and our capital requests for being approved through all the different measures in a town meeting. So it's really helpful for us as we've been ahead. I talked about the maintenance budget line item. Negotiations. We negotiated 13 memorandums of understandings with 6 different unions this year. And we haven't even started the upcoming contract negotiations. So a shout out to our school committee members that have put a lot of time and effort into those committees. A shout out to our negotiation teams. Shout out to our negotiation leadership team and our membership teams and their leadership. They've been very collaborative, and they've moved us in a positive direction. And pretty soon we're starting 6 new negotiations with all our unions. I'll touch base on that a little bit later, so that's why that's there. And then food service improvements. A quick story here, and I'll wrap up soon, I promise. When we were negotiating with our food service personnel, you know, it really went well, and we just asked them, what can we do to help you? And we asked that to all our unions, what can we do to support you? And there were a couple of dishwasher machines that hadn't been working in years, and they needed to be replaced. And so again, with a collaborative approach, I asked the membership, the cafeteria workers, to work with Mr. Stevens to come up with a prioritized list of their needs that will make their life easier, make their product better, and in turn make it better for our students. They gave us a list, and we acted right on it. And 2 of those things were new dishwashers at the high school and one other of the elementaries, I believe. They're being installed, and we're acting on that. So we'll continue to do that. And again, they're happy, we're happy, they're happy, but it's not a big favor to ask. It's just responsible budgeting and paying attention to the needs of our district. Personnel, obviously, it's the people. The programs are great. They allow for consistency, they allow for uniformity, but the people are the most important thing. Our hiring is some of the most important thing we do. You know, and I know Ms. Bonnie Donahue has really been working hard on posting our jobs to a lot more places that are accessible to more diverse populations that we hadn't been doing. She's been our principals have been very cognizant of recruiting diverse populations into our district to reflect the students that we have in front of us and the families. And although these numbers are small, the increases are huge. Prior to fiscal year 21, we hired 1.19% non-white staff, diverse staff, or not necessarily non-white, not diverse staff, let's put it that way. And this year last year, it went up to 2.38. So that was doubled. And then this year we're already at 3.17 and climbing. It's just being aware of it. It's just, again, recruiting, but it's also sharing our story and what a great district this is to come and work for. And I think word of mouth spreads. So just real proud of that work, and our team's work, and those numbers will continue to go up and reflect our student population. And then something we did recently here is the increased substitute rates. Again, we noticed that they weren't appropriate. We have great substitutes. They perform a vital role to our district, and we want to make sure they're compensated appropriately. So that's out of respect, but it's also out of competing markets, and we want to keep those folks and recruit more and make sure they stay here. So just wrapping up with a little quote that I appreciate, that I think we live by. We talk about moving from good to great. It's not by chance or circumstance that school districts become great. It's largely a matter of conscious choice and discipline. So all these things that you saw tonight are very conscious choices. They involve a lot of people. I think everyone in our district can say they had a role in the things that were happening here tonight. I share with you, but it's also discipline, in ensuring that we follow through. We keep an eye on these things. We look at what the data is telling us. We listen to people, and we respond, and we're transparent. So that is a continued model of ours. It's something we'll do. I'm going to finish up here by just sharing with you what we can expect in the future, some things we're working on. And the first one is the vision and value reflected in our upcoming budget. So again, some little teasers of things that we'll be talking about Saturday and beyond. The first one is to collaborate with our 6 unions and on our contracts so that they're equitable, fair, and reflect our appreciation of our great and hardworking staff. And they also work towards establishing what our district goals are. Those all can be accomplished during negotiations. So that's important to us. That's in our budget. The next one is continued removal of fees that I talked about earlier. We accomplished kindergarten last year. We're looking to knock off, if we can, the athletic fees this year. And it goes back to equity. We don't believe that people should have to play to participate in athletics. Hopefully that people will appreciate not having to dish out much money. Hopefully kids will now play more sports. And again, so that's a commitment we're looking at, and we don't have to sacrifice other things to do that. I believe we can implement that in the budget. So something we're looking at as well as again, a recommendation to our school committee. And after that, in years to come, we still have transportation. So we're looking down the road to also have free bus, free transportation, and free parking for our senior class in juniors and seniors in the parking lots. Those are things in coming years that we'll be working on as well. All these things total close to $1 million per year. So these are extremely cost-effective savings to our community members that we're committed to make happen. And so, again, it's going to take some visionary budgeting, which we're working on, and we're looking forward to sharing that on Saturday and then the following Thursday and beyond. Next one is our elementary building project. We just got word back from the MSBA that they're looking at committing to a combination of 2 schools, not just the one. So they're looking at combining Hadley and Cushing. That's a big deal to us. The good news for this year is that we're already ahead of schedule on the eligibility phase of this project. We got all our paperwork and responsibilities completed months before they were due. So we're going to be on the March 2nd agenda of the MSBA to approve us to move on to the next phase, which is the feasibility study and the schematic design, where we learn a lot about the project and a lot more of the community gets involved. And so that will be something upcoming. There'll be a lot of more conversations. Just so folks know, if you go to our district website, we've added an MSBA link on the top right for us to be able to start sharing information as it comes in to keep people apprised of the work we're doing there. And the last one is authentic school community feedback. You know, this is basically us providing every single person in our district, the opportunity to give authentic feedback on things we're doing well, things we can improve on, the school building project, a lot of things. And we thought long and hard about doing this and doing it right. Last year, we did a lot of surveys. We did SurveyMonkey, we did Google surveys, even talked to Dr. Bukowski and try to get her expertise on some of these. They're really hard to do them well. We're looking to do this in another partnership with a group that does research-based surveys, and they're called thought exchanges, in which they ask one larger question. Folks fill out their responses anonymously. So again, it's an outside group, so we protect everybody's anonymity. It's not from the schools. On a topic, we get student input, we get family input, we get community member input, and we get staff input. So they answer that question, and without getting into too much of it, because I'll probably do a separate presentation on this, but what this company does that's very unique is, because when we get feedback from surveys, we collate them and we share back. That's a big part of it. What actually happens, this is like a live survey, but we don't know, to what extent people are feeling about specific topics. So if someone gives a comment about a specific answer to a question in this type of survey, everybody that's taking the survey can go and rate that response. So from 1 to 5 stars. So for example, if I asked the question, what are your thoughts about a new elementary building combining Hadley and Cushing? People answer that question with an open-ended answer and share their thoughts. And they can do more than one. If I go out and say, I love it, it's a great idea, my child will benefit by it, everybody else taking that survey can now and go rate that. Well, I might not believe that. I want to give that 1 star. I don't want one school, I want 2 schools. Or somebody might give that 5 stars. So then they go and they collate all kinds of data. They give it back to us. And that's, anyone that's done surveys before knows that collecting that data and making it meaningful to give back to the community is a lot of time and effort. So this company works with us to do that, and so that we may be transparent in sharing that. So I spoke on the Thursday Thoughts and a few meetings back about a mid-year survey. I think that's that should be coming out. We're working with this company to do that. We'll be sharing more information on what the thought exchange will be, but that'll allow us really powerful feedback from everybody on certain topics, and we'll be using them on other surveys as well. But the first one will be about something to do about offering you feedback about the district, the direction we're going. This will help us align our vision and values to what people are thinking. And then we'll share that obviously with our various stakeholder groups. So that's the last one. It's going to be community outreach to get your feedback, then collect that, share those trends and ideas that we got, along with action steps back to the community, so they know we're listening and they know we're acting.